You know, when you look out at the ocean, it seems like this vast, empty wilderness. But it's really not. It's a whole world with its own language, its own rules, and yeah, its own dangers. And over the next few minutes, we're going to dive in and learn how to read it.
I mean, think about it. You're out there, surrounded by nothing but water. How in the world do you know where you are, where the dangers are hiding, and which way to go? It's the most basic, fundamental question for anyone who goes to sea.
Well, the secret is learning to see the invisible. See, the ocean is actually crisscrossed with shipping lanes, marked channels, and hidden hazards. To a trained eye, it's as clear as any road map you'd find in your car.
Okay, so where are these road signs? Well, at sea, we call them buoys, and they're all part of a global system run by the International Association of Lighthouse Authorities, or ILA for short. The whole point is to keep ships in safe water and far away from anything they might run into.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. The world is actually split into two systems, ILA A and ILA B. They're almost exactly the same, but with one absolutely critical difference: the color of the channel markers. In most of the world, ILA A, you keep the red buoys to your left, your port side, when you're coming back from sea. But in the Americas, Japan, and a few other places using ILA B, it's the green ones. You can see how one simple mistake could get you into a lot of trouble, fast.
And it's not just about color. The shapes are a huge clue too. A port hand marker, the one for the left side of the channel, is always shaped like a can. It's basically a cylinder, which shows up as a square on a nautical chart.
And on the right side, that's the starboard hand marker. It's a cone shape and it looks like a triangle on a chart. So think about it. Even in fog or bad light, when you can't make out the color, the shape alone tells you exactly which side of the channel you need to be on. Pretty smart, right?
Okay, but not all buoys are there to mark a channel. Some, called cardinal marks, are there to point you away from a specific danger, like a shipwreck or a big rock just under the surface. The two cones on top are the key. They point in different directions to tell you whether the safe water is to the north, south, east, or west of that buoy.
So how on earth do you remember all this? Especially that red-green difference. Well, sailors love their little memory tricks. For ILA-A, which covers most of the globe, a classic is just to ask a question. Is there any red port left? A simple phrase, but it could save your ship.
All right, so we've got the signs down. But what about the actual traffic laws? Well, on the water, we have the COL regs. That's the International Regulations for Preventing Collisions at Sea. These are the universal rules of the road that every single vessel, from a massive supertanker all the way down to a tiny kayak, has to follow. No exceptions.
There are 38 of these rules in total, and they really are the foundation of how to behave safely around other boats. They cover just about everything you can imagine, from how to pass another vessel to the specific lights you have to show at night so people know what you are and what you're doing.
But of all those 38 rules, Rule 5 is, without a doubt, the most important. It's the bedrock of all safety at sea. And it's simple. It just says, pay attention. Use your eyes, use your ears, use your radar, use every single thing you have to be totally, completely aware of what's going on around you. Everything else really just flows from that one idea.
Now in the super busy parts of the ocean, like the English Channel, the call regs set up what are called traffic separation schemes. Honestly, just think of them as highways on the water. You've got one lane for traffic going one way, another lane for traffic heading the opposite way, and a big separation zone right down the middle. It's how you manage thousands of ships every single day without total chaos.
But, being a good mariner is about more than just man-made rules and buoys. You have to learn to read the environment itself. The sky and the sea are always talking to each other, and they're constantly giving you clues. You just have to know how to listen.
One of the most classic and frankly coolest tools is the Beaufort scale. Instead of needing some fancy instrument, you can get a really good estimate of the wind speed just by looking at the water. Is it totally flat, like a mirror? Bam! That's force 0. Are there big waves with white foam crests being blown everywhere? You're looking at a force 6, a strong breeze. It's just a beautifully simple and effective system.
And the clouds? Oh, they tell their own story. You see those high, thin, wispy cirrus clouds? Yeah, that probably means fair weather for now, but they can be the first warning that a change is on the way. But when you see a massive, towering, dark cumulonimbus cloud building on the horizon, there's no question about it. A storm is coming.
And look, sometimes that storm is more powerful than you can possibly imagine. When all the technology fails and nature completely takes over, sailors have to fall back on fundamental principles and, if needed, internationally understood cries for help.
The sheer amount of energy in a single hurricane is almost impossible to wrap your head around. I mean, listen to this quote. It's a force of nature that demands nothing less than your absolute respect. Understanding how these things work isn't just an academic exercise. It's about survival.
So what fuels this unbelievable power? The answer is surprisingly simple: warm water. A tropical cyclone, like a hurricane, can't even begin to form unless the sea surface temperature hits at least 27 degrees Celsius, or about 81 Fahrenheit. That warm, moist air is the high-octane fuel that drives the entire engine of the storm.
And if the worst happens, if you find yourself in grave and imminent danger, these are the universal calls for help that every single mariner on the planet knows. A Mayday call screamed over the radio, an SOS tapped out in Morse code, red flares lighting up a dark sky. Or, with modern tech, the simple push of a button on an EPRB, which sends your exact location to rescue services anywhere in the world, all via satellite.
Which, of course, brings us right into the modern era. We've gone from navigating by staring up at the stars to staring down at screens. And while technology has made the sea safer in so many ways, it's also introduced some brand new risks.
I mean, the pace of change has just been breathtaking. In less than a century, we've gone from using shore-based radio signals just to get a rough idea of our position to the incredible pinpoint accuracy of the global positioning system, all guided by a constellation of satellites whipping around our planet.
But here's a hidden danger in all this amazing modern tech. Your GPS gives you a perfect position based on one single global model of the Earth. It's called WGS-84. But the nautical chart you might be looking at could have been surveyed and drawn decades ago, using a different, local model of the Earth's shape, a different datum. If you plot your perfect GPS position onto that old chart without correcting for the difference, the chart might show you in perfectly safe water, while in reality, you're heading straight for the rocks.
And all of this leaves us with a really important question. With a GPS in basically every pocket, is the ancient art of actually reading the ocean, the buoys, the clouds, the waves, still necessary? Or is it possible that our total reliance on technology is actually when we're most at risk? For the moment when the screen finally goes blank.